powerful winter storm slamming much of the Midwest and creating travel chaos, really, as it moves toward the East Coast. So I want to show you some of the latest video in from the St. Louis area. A whole lot of snow, wet, heavy snow accumulating there. And then this is the traffic cam video from earlier in the day showing semi-trucks snarling interstate traffic. Across the United States right now, more than 50 million people are under winter weather alerts. The storm is already disrupting travel on the roads and in the skies on what is set to be a record busy holiday weekend. Meteorologist Chris Warren is tracking the severe weather. So Chris, what are you seeing right now?
Well, I'll tell you what, Omar, the boys of summer are definitely hibernating here as we look at the Field of Dreams, Iowa, 27 degrees and a blanket of white. Snow still falling right now. Winter storm warning stretching across a big portion of the Midwest around the Great Lakes, and already in the plains we are approaching a foot of snow. A preliminary snowfall totals here in Stratford, Iowa, 11 inches. Again, many of these locations, Billings, 8 inches here, and in Missouri, North Dakota, Iowa, still seeing the snow falling. Snow is falling and causing delays as well. And in Chicago at O'Hare, seeing about 15 to 30-minute delays for takeoffs. However, if you have a plane ticket and you're somewhere else in the country, you are a plane ticket to Chicago, you're delayed possibly several hours, maybe up around 4 or 5 hours, depending on where you are going into it with that ground delay, ground stop also at Midway. The winter storm warnings in pink, that's where expecting higher impact snowfall, either the rates, how fast the snow's coming down, reducing visibility, making it tough on the road, or just too much for the plows to keep up with, making it very slippery as well. So we're seeing that high impact snow happening right now. The purple and the darker purple is where the heavier snow is falling. The rain snow line, maybe a little wintry mix, sleet mixed in there, and then turning into rain. But it's this snow, round after round of heavy snow, causing some problems there on the roadways across parts of the Great Lakes. Here's the rain. Eventually going to see more thunderstorms as we time it out. 5 o'clock this evening. Wind is also going to be a factor with this. So blowing snow where it's colder and the snow's a little bit drier, more susceptible to be being blown around, will be a concern as well. Also seeing these storms firing up here. This is now overnight tonight. It's moving into the northeast with the winds still howling around. Some lake enhanced or even affect snow throughout parts of the Great Lakes into early tomorrow morning. As far as this evening and tonight goes, there is a severe weather threat. It includes Dallas, down to Houston, much of East Texas, and into western Louisiana. Damaging winds, large hail, and even an isolated tornado a possibility. The amount of snow, Omar, still on top of what has already come down, approaching 8 to even a foot of snow. 8 inches to a foot of snow still possible.
Some serious conditions there. Chris Warren, really appreciate it. I want to bring in the emergency management coordinator for Missouri's Department of Transportation, Joe Moore. So I just want to start with, how are conditions across your state right now? How are you assessing things?
Well, Omar, really conditions are improving greatly here in Missouri. That snow rain line that you guys just speaking about has really started to come through well across our I-70 corridor, and a lot of those roads are now wet. We're still receiving some rain, but they're wet, and they're pretty good to travel on.
That's great to hear, especially as people start considering, traveling back from the Thanksgiving holiday. Earlier, the St. Louis police had been urging drivers to stay off the road until later in the day because of the snow, which again sounds like it's gotten, just a little bit more wet outside now. But DOT traffic camera videos were showing those semi-trucks stuck on the highway. What is your top concern, I guess, as we sort of close out this weekend travel period, even if, as you mentioned, conditions might be improving slightly today?
Well, we're hearing that the weather, especially the temperature, is going to get colder tonight and into Sunday, into Monday morning. And so there's always that chance of refreeze. And that's really going to be our biggest concern, is that refreeze. We are treating the roads, and we will have crews out until the roads are dry. So through this evening, overnight hours into Sunday, and probably even to Monday morning, we'll still have crews out checking those roadways, making sure they're safe for those travelers to get home to their families.
And you know, just a little bit earlier, I was speaking to some transportation folks in Illinois, your neighbors there, and then over in Iowa, also your neighbors, kind of hidden this whole region there. You guys are not strangers to snow and these conditions, and sort of making sure the roads are as safe as possible. But both of them have sort of talked about at points how you all coordinate between states to sort of make sure you're covered across the region. Has it gotten to that point here? And if not, how do you approach sort of these winter holidays where you know a lot more people than usual are going to be out on these roads?
You know, with this storm coming in, we really started discussing this on Monday. You know, that's quite a few days out from when it actually occurred. And that's kind of when we started our planning with our partners, with SEMA, the State Emergency Management Agency here in Missouri, Missouri State Highway Patrol, and the National Weather Service. You know, that's really when we started this. So we would know we'd have our crews ready, our equipment ready, and just really ready to respond in the event that it did come in a little bit earlier. But, you know, I think our response time was right on. We were out there early Friday evening. We had several EOCs open across the state, you know, updating the weather conditions and road conditions. So, you know, I feel we had a really good response to this storm.
Glad to hear it. Joe Moore, appreciate the perspective. As always, thanks for being here. But across the U.S. right now, more than 50 million people are under winter weather alerts. And I want to bring in some of those folks that might see some issues, including Illinois Transportation Secretary Gia Biaggi, who joins us from Chicago. So I just want to start with, what sort of issues or concerns are you keeping your eyes on right now?
Thank you for having us. I'm totally concerned about folks taking their time when they're driving. We really need you to be aware, take your time on these roads, and make sure that you're giving space not only to other cars around you, but also especially to the heavy trucks that are moving through. Those are the kinds of conflicts that we're really concerned about. But we are out there in full force. Our entire truck convoy is out there making sure our roads are clear.
And, you know, obviously we're in a weekend where a lot of people are likely driving back from families over the Thanksgiving holiday, or at the very least considering getting back out on the roads. I just wonder, what are you expecting as evening approaches, and as it looks like you got some real winter weather in your area already, but also even more so coming?
Yeah, definitely. And across our entire state, we think we'll see somewhere between 8 to 12 inches before it's done on average around the state, and it's going to go through Sunday. So really, we're entering the thick of it right now, and that is of our most concern. So if you don't have to travel, please don't, and stay home or stay with friends if you can. But if you do have to travel, we want you to take it easy. And certainly we've done a lot of work to pre-salt the roads. So, you know, we start preparing for snow back in springtime. And so we have plenty of salt, plenty of trucks out there. We've done the pre-treatment work. And now it's up to everyone to, if you can, stay off the roads. If you can't, take your time. And if you do see our trucks out there, we need you to give them a little room to get the job done.
And, you know, we've been keeping an eye on the airports there in Chicago, which I know isn't exactly under your purview, how the airports are managed. But just for perspective, we're seeing a lot of delays, a lot of cancellations tied to this weather, most likely. But also, I mean, again, as I mentioned, people trying to figure out how they're going to get home. Just what is your advice to many of those passengers who, again, are likely considering, well, hey, my flight's not getting out, maybe I should drive, or maybe I should stay a few extra nights? Just what is your advice to some of those travelers caught up right now?
Yeah, if you can have the opportunity to stay put, maybe have a couple of leftovers with your family, stick around, stay where you are. That's good for everybody, because the more cars that we have on the road, the more difficult it actually is to clean the roads. So we'd appreciate it if you'd stay put. But again, if you are going to get out there, make sure you've got your car fitted out with everything you need, and that makes sure you have a blanket, that you've got food, that you've got all the materials that you need in case you do get stuck and you need help. And if you do, and you can get on the side of the road, please stay in your vehicle. Do not try to traipse along the roadway, especially our expressways. They're slick, it's inclement, and again, we have a lot of trucks out there. So again, stay warm, stay safe, stay where you are if you can. And if you can't, be careful, move slowly, and know that it's going to take us a day or two to even clean up from this storm.
And just because, I don't know if you remember, you and I overlapped when I worked in Chicago back when you were working for the city of Chicago. And you guys, you're used to handling this type of weather, not just in the city of Chicago, but obviously statewide across Illinois. And your neighboring states are also dealing with a lot of these winter conditions as well. This storm, maybe aside, can you just give us a sense for how you all as a state prepare for the winter months in general, but also for systems like this, so that you're not caught off guard, which I know you all typically are not?
Yeah, thanks for asking. We prepare all year round for snow and other kinds of events, floods, any kind of natural disaster or challenge for the state. And we do work across state lines to do that. We have a ton of collaboration with our neighboring states to make sure that we're pooling our resources and working with cities and towns across our state to make sure that, for example, I connected with our head of Chicago Streets and Sanitation this morning to make sure that they have what they need from us and that we're collaborating. And we also, I should say, do tabletop exercises. So when there isn't snow and when it is a sunny day, we're actually getting into rooms and gaming out scenarios to make sure that, for example, we have enough salt where we need it, that we can deploy from where we need to across the state, and that we've already rehearsed how we're going to collaborate together in these kinds of events. So everybody knows the script and marches on the same road in the same direction. That's how we get it done in the Midwest, and especially here in Illinois.
Yeah, and serious conditions ahead for a lot of people, so take her advice seriously. Secretary Gia Biaggi, thank you for taking the time. Good to see you.
Thank you.